Good morning, my Real News Media TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning for March 21, 2024, bike taxi operator shot while cleaning his motorcycle, says the police. A bike taxi operator was shot by a lone gunman as he cleaned his motorcycle at Racecourse Greenchill on Tuesday morning. The police said that the gunman brandished a firearm and opened gunfire at him. In fear for his life, the injured man ran off to elude the gunman, the news understands. However, the gunman reportedly made good his escape on foot in the area. When the shooting subsided, it was discovered that the man was shot. The police were summoned, and on their arrival, he was seen suffering from what appeared to be a gunshot wound to his back. He was transported to the hospital, where he was treated for his injuries and admitted in a serious but stable condition. The community has been under heavy police military presence as the murders climbed to 5 in less than 72 hours. According to the police's latest statistics, 20 people have been killed in West Marland since the start of the year. Two men were shot after gunmen chased and fired gunshots at them as they attempted to rob the motorcycle they were traveling on in Sheffield, West Marland on Tuesday night. The news understands that the incident took place at 9:45 p.m. and that both men have been hospitalized in a serious but stable condition. Reports from the police are that the rider of the motorcycle was riding his black comrade in a westerly direction with the other man as the pillion. When upon reaching a section of the Sheffield main road, they were pounced upon by two men traveling on another motorcycle. The pillion on the motorcycle brandished a firearm and ordered the rider to stop and hand over his motorcycle. In fear for his life, the rider sped off, during which the gunman reportedly opened gunfire at them. He then continued riding while the gunman began to give chase while firing. The pillion then fell from the bike. However, the rider managed to elude his attackers and hid in a yard where he summoned the police. On arrival of the police, the rider was seen suffering from what appeared to be gunshot wounds to his back, whilst the other man was found some distance away, lying on a section of the roadway, also suffering from what appeared to be gunshot wounds to his back and groin. Both injured men were subsequently transported by the police to the hospital, where they were admitted. FID says two arrested and charged in bank fraud scheme. The Financial Investigations Division and its partners say they have made another significant dent in the operations of fraudsters who target bank customers. This follows last Thursday's arrest and the charge of two people the police believe are major players in a financial fraud scheme being investigated by the Constabulary Financial Unit. Officers from the FID, Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigations Branch, and the Jamaica Constabulary Force executed a coordinated operation resulting in the arrest and the charge of Javina Baker and Daniel McNaughton of Kingston 11 addresses. The authorities say they are conducting forensic analysis on multiple cellular phones seized during the operation. Baker and McNaughton have been slapped with multiple charges, including conspiracy to defraud, unauthorized access to computer data, making a device available for committing an offense, simple larceny, possession of criminal property, and engaging in a transaction involving criminal property. Keith Darion, head of the Financial Investigations Division, says over the last 12 months, the FID has identified and received multiple reports of a surge in fraudulent schemes targeting banks and their customers.
We have allocated resources for this emerging trend, aimed at investigating and prosecuting all persons involved, including those who facilitated the crime by allowing the use of their bank accounts to launder money fleece from victims' accounts. We urge persons to resist the temptation of getting involved in financial crimes, as the FID and its partners are adequately resourced to investigate these matters and ensure that you do not benefit from the proceeds of crime.
Over the last year, 15 people have been charged and placed before the courts for their involvement in the theft of bank customers' credentials and personal data, subsequently enabling the illicit use of the victims' money primarily through online transactions. The FID says it is investigating several other people suspected to be involved in the fraudulent scheme targeting bank customers. 59 Haitian orphans to arrive in Jamaica today. The news has been informed that 59 Haitian orphans with disabilities will arrive in Jamaica today, following an agreement between the Mustard Seed communities and Haiti Children private charities. The Mustard Seed communities, which will be providing care for the children, says that the process was facilitated and supported by the Ministries of Health, National Security and Foreign Affairs. The internationally recognized charity says it is making all necessary provisions to ensure the children, all of whom are French-speaking, are safe and comfortable in a foreign environment. Discussions had been ongoing for the children to be transferred to Jamaica since last June after 3 died amid escalating violence, but the efforts were blocked by the Haitian government, citing safety concerns. Haiti's Institute of Social Welfare said that the state's concerns also stem from children being trafficked out of the country or unaccounted for after the country was rocked by a 7.1 magnitude earthquake in 2010. Located in the rural town of Haiti's coast, the Haiti Children Orphanage is in the midst of several heavily armed warring gangs. Susie Krabacher, co-founder of the orphanage, said last year that the gangs cut off safe passage, kidnapped the staff, and invaded the facility, threatening to put the kids out of their misery. Another St. James woman murdered gangland style. For the second time in just under a week, a St. James woman has been murdered as marauding criminals continue to unleash mayhem across volatile communities in the Western Parish. To date, the parish has seen 29 murders in 2024. The latest victim is a security guard identified as a 36-year-old Nastasia Smith of a Valley Heights address who was murdered at her home on Sunday by gangsters who entered her yard and sprayed her house with bullets. According to reports, Smith and her family members were at home when about 3:30 p.m. they heard a gunshot outside the house as the windows and the doors shattered around them. When the shooting subsided, Smith was found on the floor in one of the rooms covered in blood. It was discovered that she had suffered multiple gunshot wounds to her head and upper body. She died on the spot. Smith's killing is causing some amount of unease among women in volatile communities in the parish, as while men are generally seen as a fair target in gangland warfare. There was an accepted understanding that women and the children should not be targeted. The man them a broke the code. No man not supposed to kill no woman. A idiot thing that. A female resident from Valley Heights told the news on Tuesday. Hope the gangster then put back the order in place because this no look good. Smith's killing comes sharply on the heels of that of Glen Devon resident Sudine Hilton, who was killed last Thursday in Darlington, West Marland, where she had taken up residence after she was ordered by the St. James Parish Court to reside outside of the parish. At the time of her death, Hilton was out on bail on a murder charge. She was implicated in the 2021 shooting death of Glen Devon businessman Richard Jimmy Baker, who was killed in a drive-by shooting along Salt Spring Road, also in St. James. Concerns about House Speaker not related to gender, says the PNP. The People's National Party has sought to pour cold water on claims that its concern regarding House Speaker Juliet Holness are gender-related. The government and the parliamentary opposition have been at odds over comments by opposition leader Mark Golding that Mrs. Holness, being House Speaker and the wife of the Prime Minister, does not sit well with the tradition that the Speaker must act independently of the government of the day. The comments triggered a walkout by government members on Tuesday, leaving the House of Representatives without a quorum and Mr. Golding unable to complete his budget debate presentation. Gender Minister Olivia Grange later responded by noting, among other things, that it is wrong to say Mrs. Holness or any woman should be disqualified because of the job of her spouse. But in a statement Wednesday, President of the PNP Women's Movement, Patricia Duncan Sutherland, said that legitimate discourse on matters of national importance should not be conflated with accusation of misogyny.
It is evident that a conflict of interest arising from the spousal relationship between the Speaker of the House and the Prime Minister is a matter of concern that cannot be overlooked. This conflict would persist regardless of the genders involved, as the issue lies in the inherent conflict between the roles of Speaker and Prime Minister. We emphasize that identifying this conflict is not an attack on an individual's ability or character. Instead, it is a necessary step in establishing a framework for appointment that upholds the integrity of the office and ensures that it can effectively serve the Jamaican people.
The PNP Women's Movement president called for the government to address the valid concerns raised about the impartiality of the House Speaker.